Welcome back to Hardcore Ultimate Iron Man. It is time to put this range gear to use before we just alk it. And we are starting down here in the Feldip Hills. I've already killed a bunch of wolves with my Dragon Scimitar because it's faster. But we've collected what we need to talk to Rance, which is always a good time. He wants me to make him some stabbers for Hunt the Chompy. They are the bestest yums. We need the flying stabbers. And we eventually figure out he means arrows. That's what he said. Big, chompy bird hunting. We need to make the stabbers from wolf bones, achi trees, and feathers. So now we can cut these up, get a decent number of wolfbane arrow tips, chop down these trees, and then do a little bit of easy fletching, making the arrow shafts a random number between 2 and 6. So we end up with 12 ogre arrows, which used absolutely a ton of feathers. I've got your stabbers, here you go. And he takes 6 of them, which is half of our supply. And now, he can hunt the chompy bird. But we need to get the fatsy toadses. We stick them over there, and then sneaky stick the chompy. Okay. So we need to ask him, what is he talking about? Fatsy toadies are the bestest yums for the chompy birds. Gotta make them big and round. And then we put them to the south. We need the toads. Not the small ones in the swamp. Those are no good. Phycium bugs have a blower to blow up the toads, which we need to use. And the sneaky stick to chompy. And then they can eat it. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Rance. Very helpful. We just need to come in here and unlock the chest, which in this case the lock is a big rock on top. It's quite heavy. And we can grab an ogre bellows. And this is what we need for the toadsies. Running over to the nearby swamp, infested with wolves, as it may be. And we can grab some toads. I don't think I'm going to be ranging anything with regular arrows. Or bolts in this case. So you could probably get rid of those. But here we have the bloated toads. I have the fatsy toady. And we did it right. Now we just put it right over here. We can do that. Two toads on the ground. to lure out some chompy birds. And there's one right here. Rance, you seeing this? Stick to Chompy. He's gonna shoot it. He says our arrows are rubbish. He keeps missing. Because apparently, even though he has this huge bow, he's not very good at this whole thing. So we will have a go. I'm actually quite strong. So I got his stabby thrower, which is a bow. And we can easily shoot down this chompy bird. We're going to go with accurate, just to be more accurate. We only have the 6 arrows, so we're not exactly swimming in resources here. Pluck the bird. 1 raw chompy. And here it is. Freshly plucked. And delicious. Now we just need to cook it. Because of course we do. He wants an onion. And Feisty Bugs will also want something. We never agreed to cook the chompy, but here we are. So we need an onion. And from the 2 kids in here, tomato, and cabbage. Luckily, you can find all these things just kind of lying around the area. So that's convenient. What is less convenient is the amount of space that we have. I'm just going to drop the bone bolts. We're going to be ranging a few more things, but nothing that a Dorgan crossbow would help with, so. Say goodbye to that. And the shield. Let's go pick up some garnishes. All the possibilities are nearby. We did pretty good, since they're all right here next to each other. Cabbage, onion, and a tomato just sitting on this stool here. Raises a few questions about why there's a tomato on the stool. Also, why there's a stool. Ogres don't really seem the type for small furniture. Whatever. And we can run back over here. Look at our stuff on the ground. Fantastic. And cook up the chompy on the big spit roast here. Onion, tomato, and cabbage seasoned chompy bird. Delish. Here you go. 1 delicious chompy. Everybody sits down for a family meal while we watch them, I guess. And that is quest complete. 2 quest points. A very strange number of cooking, ranged, and fletching experience. All very small. We got the bow. We can make the arrows. And this is a very important quest for requirements for other quests. And so, we will go do one of those requirements. Also here in the same general area, in the Feldip Hills. Just a bit to the northwest, over here near Castle Wars, we can talk to Grish. Everybody is out here having a difficult time. We have to be aware of the sickies from the Zogres if we don't want to get dead. What are Zogres? Zombie ogres that have popped up in Jagex. They used to be dead, but now they're zombies. And they carry a disease, which is also bad. As if zombies weren't bad enough in the first place. So, is there anything I can do to help with this situation? I need to go in to where all the Zogres are, figure out what they are doing, and get rid of them. And we would get some supplies to help us with this. We're probably going to get ill. Start Zogre Flesh Eaters. And here is our supplies. Cooked chompies and super restores. Typically, you would save these super restores for something else. But it's only 6 doses, so it's really not a huge deal. So we're going to talk to the Ogre guard here to let us get in, since they have a whole barricade set up here. So we're going to open the barricade by smashing it. That's one way to do it, I guess. Protect from melee to try not get hit by all these. And head down into the dungeon. And we've already been diseased. Fantastic. Sigh. Running up to this side. Probably going to need to drop a fair bit of our items here. I think cooked chompies are probably worse than potatoes and cheese. And we can easily get these other items back. So we need to look around here. Figure out what's going on. A half-torn page in the lectern. The skeleton is a zombie. And this disease drains your stats randomly, which isn't great. Our Herblore and Slayer have been impaired. It's a very, very strange affliction. You get a ruined backpack, which you can open up for a tankard, a knife, some rotten food. Then we open up this coffin here. It's got a hole in the side. We need to juke this Zogre out, though, because he's getting in the way. Opening the coffin. Having a hard time of it. Getting attacked by another Zogre. You guys are in a really awkward location, you know that? And he can't even come around this way, right? Arg, and we did it. So we can grab a black prism. Very spooky. Now we can just get out of here by any means necessary. And also we want to get this disease cured. So I think we'll head to the Ferox Enclave. That should cure disease. I hope. Because we do not have the items needed to cure this disease. Just pop out of this portal and everything's fine. It really is that easy. Fantastic. We've got a torn page, which was part of a spell used to place a curse on the area for all time, raising the dead. And it's from the Wizards Guild, of course. The black prism that was embedded in the coffin. Very creepy. And we have a tankard here from Ye Olde Dragon Inn. In ye know. So that's some good clues to work with. We start the investigation here at the inn. Not with the guard captain, he is still incredibly drunk, but with the bartender. Asking him if he recognizes this tankard. And this is Brentel's mug. It's weird that we found it in a cave, because he wouldn't just drop this around. This is Brentel Van, a common customer here, who's been gone for a while. Last seen talking to a shifty-looking wizard. And he was most likely murdered. Which doesn't come as too much of a surprise, since he was a bit of a mercenary. But still, we should probably figure out what happened. He was talking to a wizard, so the next logical step is to head over to the local source of all the wizards and do some questioning. We also have a bit of a magical bit, so we can try to figure out what's going on. We've got this weird prism and a necromantic spell that we found in the tomb. The wizards here are allowed to research the dark arts, but they're not supposed to use them. So this would be something that the wizards here are capable of doing. And we do have a lead. Scythic Ints was researching this particular area, and he is out at the guest house to the north because he's a bit ill. So we're gonna go talk to him a bit, poke around, see if we can get any more evidence. And the prism is also very magical. Okay. Heading up this way. How he exactly got up here? He must have gotten up here before he was sick, since the only access to the upper floor is a ladder. But here is Scythic Ints. I'm just barging in here to ask you a few questions. You know anything about the Zogres? No? Really? How strange. I'm gonna take a look around. And you can't stop me. But we also have not much inventory space again. We're going to drop some of these. Search the cupboard. Find a book on necromancy. And one of the pages has been torn out. This one. So that's a good hint. Search the drawers here. We need 3 free inventory spaces. Charcoal and papyrus. And a book on portraiture. We can just make a picture. The bartender said he would recognize the wizard if he saw him. And this is not going to be a good enough picture. Semi-nihilistic, impressionistic half-square charcoal sketch. How about we try that again? We need a good picture in order to impress. That we know what's going on. We will keep trying. And this one is a classic realist charcoal portrait. And it's very honest. Also, we find a book of Ham, the Human Against Monsters cult. That is a fair bit of evidence against him. And he is in bed because of the illness after he's returned. He's a wizard, doing wizard things. Mostly necromancy stuff. Grab some of the food here. We're going to need to restock the inventory once everything's more taken care of. We can go and show this picture over to the bartender. Get his information that this is, in fact, the connected wizard. And that is him. He was talking to Brentel Von. You can tell by his shifty eyes. And we get the bartender to sign the portrait, showing that he has connections between the wizard and the dead guy. So I think that should be enough to make some more progress here. A signed portrait connecting Sithik and Brentel. The Humans Against Monsters book, which isn't a crime in itself, but it does add evidence. The necromancy book with the torn page, which technically could have been stolen, but still. The tankard of Brentel Von. The torn page you saw earlier. Prism. That should be a complicated quest. An older quest where exactly what you need to do is a little bit off. So we might have missed one step here. We'll see. Okay, here we go. Very specific. We need to tell him about the items instead of just using them on him. So we show him all the pieces. The necromancy book, the ham book. We're showing them to him again, because we already used them on him, but that didn't count to progress to the next stage of the quest because reasons. We've got all the connections, all the evidence. We got the portrait. Look at it again. And we've convinced him that Sithik may be involved. So we're getting a potion, which should get us some answers. And we give him all the evidence. Which does decrease the amount of space in our inventory. Well, increase rather. Decreases the clutter. We get a strange potion, which we will run over here and deposit in his teacup. Then it takes some time to take effect, and by that they mean go down the ladder and come back up. And that potion was an ogre potion. And it won't. And we're going, I don't know if it's actually only going to reverse when he tells the truth, but that's what we're telling him at least. So we need information about Jagex. Brentelvon, you got him to cast the spell, removing the effects. Impossible. The spell is permanent. Forever. That's a very powerful spell. My goodness. The undead ogres are highly resistant to different types of damage. And you really can only deal with them by shutting off the area and never going there again. Also the disease, which isn't great. So you're most likely to want to use a ranged weapon. And a special one at that. Brutal arrows. Made by hammering a nail into the end of an arrow. Does crushing damage. So we can make some of those. And the disease is manageable with a jungle herb-based concoction, which we know all about, because we did Jungle Potion. So now we have our answers of what we can do about this. We can't get rid of the Zogres, but we can deal with it. Let's go get some supplies. The 2 jungle herbs that you need are snakeweed down here along the coast, and rogue's purse down in the Joker dungeon. Mix these 2 together and you get a Requiem's Balm, or Relicum's Balm, something like that. Anyways, this cures the disease, and that's pretty good. So that is one of the items that we might want to be bringing with us. And instead of just using this Requiem's Balm, we can bring it over to Uglugnar, teach them how to cure the disease, and get paid for it. But most importantly, that opens up the shop here, where we can get a few useful things, like pretty much an unlimited supply of the balms, and a bowstring. Because we're going to be making a new bow. But first we need to make the arrows here, using up tons and tons of feathers. And then the steel nails that we purchased from the sawmill. I bet they thought they were going to be used for construction. Not the case. Steel brutal arrows. Made 50 of these. That should be more than enough to buy ogre arrows. And we are going to be making a new, better bow to fire these arrows with. Unstrung composite bow, made out of the logs and the wolf bones. Add a bowstring. And there you go. 81 ranged bonus to we can't wield the composite bow yet. Okay. Apparently that is the very next step allows us to wield this bow. But still, we're not going to need the regular ogre bow. That's unnecessary. Alex for 300? Sure. Not tradable. That's fine. Because we have this one. Now that we're prepared, we can talk to Grish and explain what is going on. We know who did it. It was a wizard. And the spell means the Zogres will be here forever. So we need to move this ceremonial dancing site. But to do that, we need to go in there again and get the old things that make the place special. And we get a key for going in there. Also talking to Grish about how to kill the Zogres. We've made the brutal arrows. And now he's teaching us how to hold their new bow here. A bigger and better stabber chucker. We've already made it before being told how to make it. But we just couldn't hold it in our hand somehow. And the disease, which we also took care of. Fantastic. So now, we can go prepare by filling the rest of this inventory. Back down in the depths. Open these doors with our gate key. And head down to the lower level. Where we have even more Zogres. Shocking. And what we're really here for, on the stand over here. Of course, it's not going to be that easy. Search the stand, and we get attacked by Slash Bash. He drains prayer, and we can also possibly get diseased here. We've got the super restore potions, so that's probably going to be fine. Standing back here, he only uses range attacks. So we can just casually shoot our bow, which is doing pretty decent damage. Working as advertised. Pew pew. Pew pew indeed. I'm not concerned about keeping any super restore. For the most part, regular restores manage. So I just want to finish this without any incidents. Worst case scenario, we run out of prayer, then we have some food here. Level 111 versus Green Dragonhide. Not the greatest setup. We can grab all the things on the ground here. Most importantly, the Ogre artifact. And we can get out of here. Again, it's probably faster to just go through the house instead of running past everything again, possibly getting diseased. And we can just use these bones on the altar here. We don't have the incense burners on, so it's only like 250%. But still, enough for 44 prayer. That's Eagle Eye. So that's something. Destroy the prayer. And head back. You really did fail to mention the absolutely huge guy down there. But I got your ancient artifact. So here you go. Very good job. 1 quest point. 2,000 experience in ranged fletching and herblore. Raccoon's bombs. Brutal arrows. Ogre comp bow. The store here. And we also have this black prism still, which we can go and sell. I could have gotten 2,000 GP. Just bring this back to the guy in the Wizards Guild. But instead, I came over here to Yanni, who will buy it for 5,000 GP. Were either of these worth it? Probably not. We have 4 million coins. But it's the thought that counts. Now we've taken on Ogres. We've taken on Zogres. So it's time to finish up the trifecta here with some Mogres. And we will be dealing with the Mogres by helping Pirate Pete. We need to make him some fish cakes. Like a chocolate cake made with fish instead of chocolate? No. Breadcrumbs. And fish. So we're going to ask the cook how to make fish cakes. He may not be ever properly supplied with ingredients, but at least seems to have some recipes, even if some of them are a bit of a disaster. So we're dealing with a whole time bubble here, because from the cook's perspective, we've already finished Recipe for Disaster. So we just need to figure out how to save them after we've already saved them. It's a whole thing. The pirate. It was fish cakes. And to make fish cakes with eggs, fish, and milk, nope. So he's going to search for a recipe. We need ground cod, ground kelp, ground giant crab meat, and breadcrumbs. Get cod and grind it up. Get kelp and grind it up. And to get to the kelp off the coast of Remington, we should talk to Murphy. The grinding is a similar situation. And the giant crabs were also there, but they haven't been seen for a while. So we need to figure out the giant crabs. Murphy is, again, our source of information. For breadcrumbs, we just slice up a piece of bread. And then we take all those things and do something. While we go and get the ingredients, he's going to go look through the cookbook, figure it out. And that should be good. Fish cakes, coming right up. During our adventures to get the kelp and crab, we're going to need a few things. Like bronze wire and a fishbowl. Also, there's a dragon impling. That'd be cool if we had anywhere near that level. Also gonna need these inventory space, equipment spaces clear. We've got the 5 inventory spaces we're going to need. But there is one final problem here, and that is our weight. We need this to be under 27, or we will literally sink and be unable to swim. So we're going to need at least some pieces of graceful here. And it can't be the hood or the cape. And we can't take less than the full set out at once. Even though we have the full set in here. That'd be too easy. Okay. Hood goes back in. Everything goes back in. Great. Hood and cloak are the two we can't have. So we'll put those back in here. Yes, deposit. It's fine. $29. Yep. And also, these things are also going to be heavy. So I think we're going to need as much graceful as we can get here. And that might not even be enough. So we're going to be saying goodbye to the green D-hide and the frog leather. We can just buy this back, so it's not a huge deal. But that is still the 5 inventory spaces we're going to need. Now we can pop on over to the fishing trawler. Not from our house, though. Goodbye, frog leather boots. You will be easily replaceable. We are going diving. This fishbowl is going to be going on our head to keep us alive. So that's definitely something. A recipe for disaster. The giant crabs are no longer getting hauled up near Remington. But we really need some giant crab meat. So the only way is to go down there and figure it out. Underwater. I've got a fishbowl. So we can set up a breathing apparatus. That should keep us alive, in theory. We don't have any better plan. And we need to save the very fabric of space and time. So I guess this is what we're going to be doing. We've got the fishbowl and a diving apparatus. It's pretty safe. That'll be fine. If we wield this and this, yeah, we're still rocking 16. Perfect. And I think we might not be able to wield a weapon, so we still have the 5 inventory spaces. We don't need to go and retrieve the Ava's attractor, because that's a little bit more awkward. More steps involved. But we can now head underwater. Except we can't bring our pet. Should have put Rocky away while we were back in the house. Because now we don't have a minigames teleport. Fantastic. Oh well. And we're back. With 1 fewer raccoons to drown. So let's go diving. See you soon, Murphy. We just need to climb back up the anchor chain when we want to leave. But here we are, underwater. Where we're not allowed to use many of the side panels here. We just swim around. Here's the kelp we're going to need. We can let all these fish. And over here we have Mogres. Nung. Stop swimming away from me. I can only walk speed. I'm a very funny fish. Except I'm not a fish. I want some giant crab meat. And they have corralled up all the giant crabs here. And they are not too happy with us wanting to take them. And they're threatening to smash our diving helmet, which would be problematic. So instead, we're going to offer a trade. For access to the crabs, we need to do a really big favor. 5 big skippy skins from mud skippers over in this cave. Get 5 skins and come back. Easy enough. In order to get into this cave, or to get weighed down enough at all here underwater, we need to pick up a bunch of rocks and put them in our pocket. No matter how much you weigh, it's always 5 rocks to be able to walk around here. Except you don't need rocks in one of the other underwater locations, so yeah, it's whatever. We're in here, standing as normal, and now we can fight. You would think fighting underwater would be difficult. We would just swing our sword like normal, killing some mud skippers. We got some bigger mud skippers over there, but the small ones drop just as much skin for the hides here. So that's easy enough. 5 of these, and then it's back to Nung. Our walk speed flailing around is a bit slow, but we've collected the skins. The big skippy skins. Very good. And now to trade for the crabs, we need to go to a very dangerous area called the surface to get a needle and bronze wire, which we've got. Really dangerous for a fish to go get bronze wire, but I'm sure we will be able to manage, which we already have. And he's going to make a very big hat. That is a good plan. I can go in here. It's fine. And since we still, I guess, have those rocks in our pocket, we can fight the crabs as normal. Also, when you're underwater, random events can show up, and they also have diving helmets. So that's pretty fun. We can also take the bits of these crabs to make a crab claw and a crab helmet, which is also very silly. We're going to grab some extras just to have as fail-safes in case we manage to burn the crab cakes. Really shouldn't, since this quest portion requires a 31 cooking, and ours is much higher than that. But while we're here, grab some kelp. And now we can leave. That is 2 of the ingredients collected. Just need to swim back over here, up the anchor, and our adventure under the sea is complete. And we can head back to shore. Thank you, Murphy. We didn't solve any of your problems. The crabs are still all contained. That's not really my problem, I guess. Anyways. And there's the codfish fished. So now we just need to make some bread, grind everything up. Of course, we do not have really the inventory space to make 3 bread. It's going to be a bit of item juggling. That's okay. I have got multiple piles of things on the floor. Made the bread from all the stuff down in the Coalmancer's chest. There is breadcrumbs. Here is the first set of items, all squished together. And we'll drop these quickly to squish all of these together. Nice and ground up. Everything's ground. And once it's ground, we can drop that. Pick up 2 of the breadcrumbs, the other 2 things. Talk to the cook. And get the final recipe for the fish cakes. We have all the ingredients, and he has read the recipe. It's very simple. Smush everything together, and then cook it. It really is that easy. 1 fish cake, 2 fish cakes, 3 fish cakes. Cooking them on the lumber's range. Really did not need to make that more difficult. But having to go all the way back underwater would have slowed things down tremendously. Cooked fish cake on pirate peat. And that is quest complete. 1 quest point, 1,000 cooking, fishing, smithing, and crafting experience, and increased access to the chest. There is one more thing we can go do involving Mogres. So I'm going to go do that too. Not a quest, but a mini quest with Skippy here. He's just wandering around incoherently. He's seen them. And who are they? Bloodthirsty, flesh-eating devils out in the sea. They look like mud skippers. Ferocious, evil, beady-eyed terrors. Interesting. Huge mud skippers. 10 feet long. Gnashing fangs. He was fighting them on the beach. And then everything went black. Sounds a bit crazy. But he has massive bite scars. That really does fit his story. So maybe he's not lying. So we're going to sober him up so he can try to recall what really happened. He's been drinking Captain Braindeath's extra strength rum / drain cleaner, now 50% more debilitating, for a week straight. It's got sheep tranquilizers in it. Our first attempt to sober him up, we're going to dump a bucket of water on him. Splash. You sober yet? He wants a nice bowl of tea. Needle tea. And not to throw it at him. Here is your tea. Specifically a bowl of tea. Didn't want to even bother with putting it into a cup. And now we have to deal with his hangover. We know exactly how to make a hangover cure. Chocolate milk and snape grass. No problem. One hang over here. And he's good. And just like that, Skippy is back in top form. And he now has the information we're looking for. The Mud Skippers. We want to go looking for them, even though it's not a good idea. He was using fishing explosives. Slayer Masters sell potions for killing underwater creatures. And he was just chucking them in there. Fishing with them. And he thought it was a Mud Skipper that attacked. It was actually a Mogre. Underwater Ogres. We've seen them just today. And they did not appreciate the whole blowing up the ocean thing he was doing. So they beat him up with a mace. And that is the story of Skippy. So we can go replicate his Mogre bothering by chucking fishing explosives at Mud Skipper Point. So that's always fun. That is a mini quest off the list. No other rewards for that. Just fit thematically here. But since we went and rescued Pirate Pete there, we can continue unlocking more of a Recipe for Disaster. Because the rewards are pretty good. Getting better gloves, useful for all combat styles. And we should be able to easily breeze through a few more of these. Individually, and once you have the requirements, they're not too long. We'll work on that next time. Goodbye.